Welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR Podcast, Talladega Cup Series 2025. Let's go. Tons of statistics, tons of data, all the stuff that aren't we just going to stack in the back? Probably, but when we're stacking in the back, we might want to look at who has done well in the back. And if you want to look at that data, Race4thePrize.com, $25 for May. And I'll throw in Talladega. Jump in, Texas, Kansas, North Wilkesboro, Charlotte. Come on, get in on it. 125 for the rest of the season. Here we go. Yes, we're going to stack them back. Now, let's do it different. We've done about, for my calculations, who knows, since 2015, 45 Cup Series podcasts. You throw in Xfinity, trucks. Boy, we have done a lot of these. And we follow the same pattern. And the podcasts follow the same pattern. And every podcast is the same. Let's try to do it a little different. So we're going to look at the three categories that I always prescribe to you. Rule number one, stack in the back. Yeah, I've heard that before. Yeah, kind of been preaching that since 2015. Number two in my gospel, according to Race for the Prize, is 20-10 to win. Typically, when we are picking drivers in a super speedway / plate race, they don't use plates anymore. Shut up. You typically see drivers that have to get a top 10 finish and they get around 20 place differential points. That is generally the trend. If you don't believe me, check out the spreadsheet at Race4thePrize.com and you can go through every single lineup. It's all in the spreadsheet from DraftKings going back to 2015. Yowza. The data's all there. Typically we see 20-10 to win, guys. 20 place differential, top 10 finish. My third and final part of my gospel in the book of Race for the Prize. Build the winning lineup, not the optimal lineup. Like, you can try to be different. You can try to differentiate. Separate from the field and roster a driver in the top 10. Good luck with that. And you can see in the spreadsheet exactly where every starting position has finished. You can see over those 45 races, what did the pole sitter do in those 45 races? It's in the spreadsheet. How often does the second place driver finish in the optimal lineup? It's in the spreadsheet. Check it out. $25. Buy some happiness. But my theory, my philosophy, my advice to you, if you want to end up in the green, is to try to build a winning lineup, not the optimal lineup. And the reason for that is, if you chase, for example, Kyle Busch, you're going to be different. That is fine. One shot theory, one gun, go for it all. Okay, you lose. But if you want to end up in the green and Kyle Busch wrecks, your lineup's wrecked. Because you're going to throw a negative 38 on your lineup, you're toast. Whereas you take a guy starting 25th, and if he wrecks, at the very least, you get what? Minus 15. And you may stay in the green. Well, I want to win a GPP. I don't care. Well, even if you want to win a GPP, most of the time, even if you play that guy, it's a place differential versus the guy who is a starting up front hog, we're talking about a couple points that separates. So you still can win a GPP playing it safe. That's not really the case in any other DFS sport. So that's my philosophy. Stack in the back. You've heard me say it for over a decade now. 20-10 to win. And hey, maybe, just maybe, try to build a winning lineup with the upper line. And that's how we'll approach this. And you can see it on your screen. We've got stack in the back category. We've got the 20-10 to win. Winning lineup play versus optimal lineup play. And then I've added 2 more just to add a little bit to say, all right, if you really want to be different, we really want to add some guys to the lineup. Can they get to 50 points? Technically, actually, we're going for 54, not 50. So let's change that to 54. That's what we believe the cutoff line based on previous trends is going to be. Can this guy get to 54 fantasy points? So can the driver get to 54 fantasy points without hog laps, hog points, dominator points, whatever, fast laps, led? Then we say, all right, well, can they get there if they get a couple scraps? You know, it's a super speedway. We're going to be running some fast laps all throughout the field. So we can maybe lower the bar or just add in some scrap points and say, well, everybody's going to get X amount. Mainly saying that, all right, this guy doesn't lead the race. He doesn't dominate the race. But he scrapes off some points here and there. Can he still get the 54 fantasy points? So we'll start at the top. Obviously, none of these drivers are stacking the backs. They can't be 20-10 to wins because they can't get 20 place differential points. They are definitely going to be optimal plays, differentiated plays versus winning plays because of their high risk starting towards the front. Now, where it becomes a little bit more interesting when we look at these drivers is, okay, can they get to 54 without hog points? And the answer is pretty much no for everybody up front because they can't score enough place differential. All of these drivers from Cole Custer up to Zane Smith really need to dominate or lead laps. Not saying they won't, and they can, and one of these guys might slide into the optimal lineup, but the probabilities are not that good on your side. So then we go to the next caveat and say, all right, well, maybe this driver optimizes his day, has a great finish, gets just enough place differential, and then gets just enough fast lap scraps. Can they get there? The first driver we see popping up is Austin Cindric. I don't mind it, but again, I always lean more towards the win versus the optimal. If you really want to be cute, yeah, he can probably get to 54 fantasy points with some scraps and by really winning the race. Ryan Blaney also finishes or fits that mold. And look, they're both the same play. They're fine. I don't think they're terrible plays at all. But it just comes down to your philosophy of, are you an optimal guy versus a winning guy? If you're building a ton of lineups, 150, then yes. Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney definitely should be in some of those lineups. I don't like the next 3 in Gibbs, Bell, Custer. We get to Denny Hamlin. He doesn't quite fit the 20-10 to win mold. He is a little close because he can win this race. He's not a stack in the back. He's not really a winning play versus optimal play, borderline. And the reason for such is that there's just better plays. There's better winning plays that are safer plays. But he does fit the mold of he doesn't really have to lead laps. He is in a starting position where he doesn't have to dominate the race. And then if you add in, he'll probably pick up 4 or 5 fast laps along the way, fast lap points. Then yes, you can roster Denny Hamlin. I'm not very bullish on the front row cars. They are generally pretty good. But at the end of the day, there's just better plays out there. There's better cars starting further back that have a higher probability of success. All right, dropping down to where it's basically all green and it's whoever we want to play. Byron fits the same mold as Hamlin. No problem with that. I think Briscoe is a slightly lesser option, but if you want to differentiate, he can get there. If he gets into the top 5, and in getting to the top 5, he scrapes off a couple fast laps. I don't feel too confident in that. I think you can say the same thing for Alex Bowman. Although once we get to Bowman's range, he is starting to get closer to that 20-10 to win. AJ is there as well. But I could see him laying up a little bit. Bubba probably a little bit more aggressive. Doesn't technically fit the 2010 to win, but it's close. And we know he's capable of a top 3 finish. So this is where they all become very handsome, and we can jump on them. Basically, everybody from the 20s is in play. You can go through the data, or you can say, who cares about the data? It's a super speedway race. Anyone can wreck in or wreck out. I mean, literally, whomever you like from 20 back are perfectly fine options. I mean, the only real conversation is the drivers that you don't feel comfortable with. Yaley, BJ, SVG, basically anyone we say their name based on letters, minus JHN. No one really calls them JHN. Sometimes I do, but if you're just calling them out by their letters, then they might be one to avoid. Not saying that JJ, BJ, and SVG can't get it done. They can, but envision a race where they get it done. Then, well, why didn't Haley, Stenhouse, Jones, Chastain, Elliott get it done? Because we know salary's not going to matter. So they can do it, but the only way that they can do it is if everyone else doesn't do it. And that's literally everyone else doesn't do it. We go down to the end of the race, say there's 25 cars on the lead lap. Do you really believe SVG, BJ, JJ are going to jump to the front? Or is it more likely that a RSJ, EJ, Ross Chastain move forward? If they are lucky enough to survive in a race full of madness where everyone has been boosted forward via attrition, cool, great. I mean, think about that, right? Imagine all these guys in the back survive to the end. Okay? Let's say like they're all starting 20th. Final restart. Who's moving forward at that point? JJ going to pass Eric Jones and Ricky Stenhouse? Probably not. So then Eric Jones and Ricky Stenhouse end up with more fantasy points. And at the end of the day, it's just raw points because we don't really need point per dollar plays. We'll have plenty of money on the table. And you need mass chaos for BJ, JJ, SVG, and Cody Ware. Anthony Alfredo has been really good. Beard Motorsports has been really good at these super speedway races. But you just don't need to go there. You've got Elliott, Chastain, Jones, Stenhouse, Haley, all with really respectable resumes. Haley does have a Cup Series win here. Well, that was rain shortened. Hey, at least lightning shortened, technically. He was still alive at the end. And check out his Xfinity stats if you really want to call him out. We know what Ricky Stenhouse has done. Eric Jones has won at super speedways and has really strong stats of late. Ross Chastain, Xfinity stats galore. Been quality in the Xfinity series. Maybe more so at Atlanta, but still solid. You know what Elliott's capable of. Talladega wins in the past. Hendrick Motorsports. Come on now. Nemechek has been, if you look at his stats in the Fantasy NASCAR spreadsheet, which you can get at Race4thePrize.com, when it comes to top 10 percentage, he's number freaking 2. Now, he hasn't raced well at Talladega in the last 2 races, but 11 races, small sample size. It doesn't really matter. I don't really buy into that at super speedways. You either got it or you don't. He has been a top 10 driver. Is he going to win? No, but starting 29th, give me another top 10, no problem. Hocevar, second in Atlanta. I'll take that. 11th at Daytona last fall. I'll take that. 14th, 17th at Dega last year. He's there. We know what Gregson's capable of. He's got Xfinity wins at the plate tracks. You can't rule out any of these drivers. There's plenty of value there. There's plenty of plays that you don't really need to go to the crazies. I think at the end of the day, you just ask yourself, can they get the 54, which most of these guys can, and they're all in play. I wanted the picks. I mean, I gave you a pretty good idea. I mean, go through the spreadsheet. Thank you for joining me. Triple A is fantastic.